President Trump in his second impeachment trial. 7 Republicans broke party ranks to join with all 50 Democrats, making it the most bipartisan vote ever to convict a president. But it was still well short of the 67 votes needed to find him guilty. In a moment, we'll speak with Republican Senator Lindsey Graham, who was in the center of the action. But first, let's bring in David Spunt on Capitol Hill on the trial's surprising final day. David.
Hi, Chris. As expected, Democrats voted unanimously to convict, but they needed 17 Republicans to join.
We have no power to convict and disqualify a former office holder who is now a private citizen.
While Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell voted to acquit the former president, 7 Republicans voted to convict. North Carolina Senator Richard Burr, who is retiring next year, surprised colleagues with his vote to convict on the lone article, incitement of insurrection. Donald Trump's fate almost hung in the balance another few weeks after a floor fight erupted over live witnesses.
We would seek the opportunity to take their depositions via Zoom, also for less than an hour.
None of these depositions should be done by Zoom. These depositions should be done in person, in my office, in Philadelphia. That's where they should be done.
But in the end, both sides agreed, no witnesses. Next, closing arguments.
He abused his office by siding with the insurrectionists at almost every point, rather than with the Congress of the United States.
The former president's attorneys defended their client without wavering.
This has been perhaps the most unfair and flagrantly unconstitutional proceeding in the history of the United States Senate.
Chris, former President Donald Trump out with a statement from Florida last night. I want to read part of it to you. He says, "I have always and always will be a champion for the unwavering rule of law, the heroes of law enforcement, and the right of Americans to peacefully and honorably debate the issues of the day without malice and without hate." Meanwhile, the current president, President Biden, out with a statement condemning violence, saying the United States needs to move forward, underlining the word united in United States. Chris.
David Spunt reporting from Capitol Hill. David, thank you. And joining us now, Republican Senator Lindsey Graham. Senator, welcome back to Fox News Sunday.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Senator, let me ask you, have you spoken to President Trump since the acquittal yesterday? And if so, what was his reaction?
Yeah, I spoke to him last night. He was grateful to his lawyers. He appreciated the help that all of us provided. He's ready to move on and rebuild the Republican Party. He's excited about 2022, and I'm going to go down to talk with him next week, play a little golf in Florida. And I said, Mr. President, this MAGA movement needs to continue. We need to unite the party. Trump plus is the way back in 2022. He's mad at some folks, but I understand that. My goal is to win in 2022, to stop the most radical agenda I've seen coming out of the Democratic presidency of Joe Biden. We can't do that without Donald Trump, so he's ready to hit the trail, and I'm ready to work with him.
Well, let me ask about one person that he might be mad at, and tell me if he is or he isn't. Mitch McConnell, who made a curious speech yesterday in which he basically said the president is guilty, but that the Senate doesn't have the power to convict, to act against a former president. What did he think of McConnell's speech? What did you think of McConnell's speech?
Well, number one, I was a bit surprised, but I heard this in 1998. I've been in 3 of the 4 impeachments. I'm sorry about that. But the bottom line, in 1998, you had a lot of Democrats acquit Clinton, but got on the floor and said how bad he was. So, Nancy Pelosi called us all cowards. I don't think most Republicans care what she thinks. And I think Senator McConnell's speech, he got a load off his chest, obviously. But unfortunately, he put a load on the back of Republicans. That speech you will see in 2022 campaigns. I would imagine if you're a Republican running in Arizona or Georgia or New Hampshire, where we have a chance to take back the Senate, they may be playing Senator McConnell's speech and asking you about it as a candidate. And I imagine if you're an incumbent Republican, there are going to be people asking you, will you support Senator McConnell in the future? So I like him. Senator McConnell, he worked well with President Trump. I think his speech is an outlier regarding how Republicans feel about all this. I thought the impeachment trial was not only unconstitutional, I condemn what happened on January the 6th, but the process they used to impeach this president was an affront to rule of law. He's the first president to ever be impeached without a lawyer, without a witness, without an ability to confront those against him. And the trial record was a complete joke, hearsay upon hearsay, and we've opened Pandora's box to future presidents. And if you use this model, I don't know how Kamala Harris doesn't get impeached if the Republicans take over the House, because she actually bailed out rioters, and one of the rioters went back to the streets and broke somebody's head open. So we've opened Pandora's box here, and I'm sad for the country.
Does Donald Trump bear any responsibility for the attack on the Capitol on January 6th?
No, in terms of the law, no. He bears responsibility of pushing narratives about the election that I think are not sound and not true. But this was politically protected speech. The speech on January the 6th was not an incitement to violence. Every politician has used the word fight hard. So I don't think that he caused the riot. His behavior after the election was over the top. There was a pre-planned element to this attack. Mr. Wallace, that we need to look at. Did Nancy Pelosi know on January the 5th that there was a threat to the Capitol? What did President Trump do after the attack? We need a 9/11 commission to find out what happened, to make sure it never happens again. And I want to make sure that the Capitol footprint can be better defended next time. So I want to look at what Pelosi knew when she knew it, what President Trump did after the attack, and on the Senate side, was Senate leadership informed of a threat? So there was a pre-planned element to this attack, totally unconnected with the speech. And I thought the managers failed miserably in making the case.
Let's pick up on something that you specifically talked about. Let's look at the timeline of what happened that day, especially after the riot began. At 2:24, the president tweets, "Mike Pence didn't have the courage to do what should have been done to protect our country and our Constitution." 2 minutes later, at 2:26, the president speaks to Senator Tommy Tuberville, who tells him Vice President Pence has been evacuated from the Senate. Around that time, the House Republican leader, Kevin McCarthy, calls the president, pleading with him to do whatever he can to call off the rioters. When the president says he thinks that it was actually Antifa that was involved, McCarthy told Republican Congresswoman Jamie Herrera Butler that he had to persuade the president it was his own folks who did it. Take a look at this exchange.
These are your people. You know, they have MAGA hats on. And the president's response to him was, well, Kevin, I guess they're just more concerned about this election than you are.
What does that tell you, Senator, about how the president viewed the riot while it was happening?
Doesn't tell me a whole lot because it's all hearsay. Why don't we have a 9/11 investigation? I think it's at 2:28 he told people to be peaceful. He tweeted out several times at 4 o'clock. He did a video basically to be peaceful and leave. Could President done more? Yeah. Did he incite this riot by his speech? Absolutely not. If Donald Trump's speech is going to be seen as incitement by a politician to call violence about every Democrat and Republican up here is in trouble. But I'd like to know that. I'd like to know, did the Capitol Hill Police inform the House Sergeant at Arms and the Senate Sergeant at Arms the day before the attack that they needed more troops? So I want to look at all of it.
Senator, I want to just pick up on that because and the question of the president's personal responsibility, whether it was legal or not, whether his personal responsibility. Here's what you said on January 7th, the day after the riot.
It breaks my heart that my friend, a president of a consequence, would allow yesterday to happen. And it will be a major part of his presidency. When it comes to accountability, the president needs to understand that his actions were the problem, not the solution.
His actions were the problem, allowed the riot to happen. it sure sounds like you're saying that he violated his oath of office.
No, I think what he did is he encouraged supporters throughout the country to fight like hell to take back an election that he thought was stolen. A lot of politicians have said that. On January the 7th, he wasn't impeached. The guy was impeached within 48 hours. He didn't have a lawyer, no evidence gathered. The speech of January the 6th is politically protected speech, in my view, did not cause the riot. It doesn't represent the 74 million people who supported him. This will be part of his historical record of the Trump presidency. But Democrats, because they hate his guts, wanted to impeach him before they ever met him, have now started a process that you can impeach somebody in the House within 48 hours without a lawyer, without a witness, without the ability to cross-examine those against you, and have a trial record based upon articles from the media. This thing is turning into a nightmare for the presidency. I rejected the article of impeachment. I didn't think President Trump was guilty, and you have now opened up Pandora's box. As to Senator McConnell, he is a friend, but he's going to be center stage now in the 2022 effort to take back the Senate. I've been asked by a lot of people, Chris, calm President Trump down. Talk to him, get him to calm down. Sometimes he does and sometimes he doesn't. But to my Republican colleagues, this is a two-way street. 90% of the Republican Party thought this impeachment was a partisan exercise. That's what I thought. He is out of office. And so to the Republican Party, if you want to win and stop a socialist agenda, we need to work with President Trump. We can't do it without him. And to you, President Trump, you need to build the Republican Party stronger. I'm into winning. And if you want to get something off your chest, fine, but I'm into winning.
Senator, I just one final question. Nikki Haley, the former governor of your state of South Carolina, made some pretty tough comments about Donald Trump this week. I want to put them up on the screen. She said he went down a path he shouldn't have, and we shouldn't have followed him, and we shouldn't have listened to him, and we can't let that ever happen again. Senator, is Governor Haley wrong about Donald Trump's future in the Republican Party?
Yeah, Donald Trump is the most vibrant member of the Republican Party. The Trump movement is alive and well. People believe that he brought change to Washington. Policy-wise, it was long overdue. All I can say is that the most potent force in the Republican Party is President Trump. We need Trump plus. And at the end of the day, I've been involved in politics for over 25 years. The president is a handful, and what happened on January the 6th was terrible for the country, but he's not singularly to blame. Democrats have sat on the sidelines and watched the country be burned down for a year and a half and hadn't said a damn word. And most Republicans are tired of the hypocrisy. So no, Nikki's wrong about President Trump. North Carolina, the biggest winner, I think, of this whole impeachment trial is Laura Trump. My dear friend Richard Burr, who I like and have been friends to a long time, just made Laura Trump almost a certain nominee for the Senate seat in North Carolina to replace him if she runs. And I'll certainly would be behind her because I think she represents the future of the Republican Party.